Before we kick off this Monday show, want to give you the big news just breaking. Governor Gina Raimondo posted fundraising of $1.3 million for Q1 of 2018. It's live on GoLocal now. You can read all about it. She now tops well over $4 million cash on hand, dwarfing her nearest competitors. We have all of that again on GoLocalProv.com. Be sure to check it out. I'd like to welcome my first guest in, Rich Pezzillo, with the New England Hemophilia Association. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me back.
Well, glad to have you here because you have a big awareness-raising, fun fundraising event coming up in May, on May 20th. Tell folks all about it.
Yeah, so we're super excited to host the first ever Bloody Mary competition in the city of Providence. So local bars will be competing against each other and the public will decide who ultimately has the best Bloody Mary in the city.
So before we get to the nuts and bolts of the competition, I want to talk a little bit about the Hemophilia Association and tell folks your story.
Sure, great. So I'm the executive director of the New England Hemophilia Association. We are a regional nonprofit that serves all 6 states in New England for people with hemophilia and other rare bleeding conditions. In the state of Rhode Island, there's only about 150 people living with hemophilia, but about 1% has a bleeding disorder like von Willebrand's or another type of rare bleeding disorder. So for our small community, this is a push to help spread awareness about hemophilia and other bleeding disorders.
And talk with us a little bit about your experience.
Sure, yeah. So I have hemophilia myself. I was born with it. You cannot catch hemophilia. It's a genetic disorder. So hemophilia in my family has been something that we've heard from since my grandfather was alive. It goes way back for generations, and it means that you're missing a clotting protein. So you don't bleed faster, you bleed longer. Okay. And the only medication is through IV. So I personally take an IV infusion daily. And hemophilia is one of the most expensive conditions to have. It's about $350,000 a year to treat. So our numbers may not be large like cancer and diabetes, but when you're looking at cost, we're right at the top.
And is that, for folks who might not, again, know as much about hemophilia as you, is that the common treatment for everyone with hemophilia? Do you have to take an IV? Does everyone have to take an IV daily?
So unfortunately, there's no oral medication. They're working on getting an FDA approval for subcutaneous, but right now it's all through intravenous. So a big piece of what we do, which is where the funds will go for, is we host a family camp. So the camp teaches kids as young as the age of 4 how to put a tourniquet on, find a vein, and ultimately at a young age they're becoming a phlebotomist, which is crazy to think about. And what we do is we give them something called a Big Stick Award, where a hemophilia dad makes a stick and we present it to the kids that can find their vein. So for a lot of these kids, it's transformational because it gives them independence, that they can travel the world with their medication.
And how long has this camp been around? Was this around when you were a child?
It was, yeah. So it started in 1992. So it's been around for 26 years, and we're super excited. There's camps like this around the country. So in New England, we have the New England Hemophilia Association's Family Camp, but also Paul Newman Camp in Connecticut also has a hemophilia section to that. So a lot of it is teaching independence, just like any other chronic condition. It's giving families, in particular kids, the autonomy that they can live a successful and fruitful life living with a bleeding disorder.
And how much does it mean to kids and to families to be at the camp, to be with others who know the situation that they're in and where they're coming from? So in addition to learning the skill, being around others who they might not see all the time.
Yeah, no, it's I use the word priceless, but it really speaks to community, because so often, let's look at Rhode Island. There's less than 150 people in the state. You give these community events, it allows people to connect, to feel not alone, and for families, it creates another element of support. So really, we have 77 families coming from all over New England and New York, which is around 320 people. And the treatment center is the hospitals that are here in Rhode Island. It's Rhode Island Hospital in Hasbro, which has a center. They also send staff volunteering to support at these camps. So the medical piece is pretty significant.
And for folks who might not have family members, what are we talking about? What does a typical day look like? How much does this involve taking care of your health?
Yeah, no, so for a typical person, once you overcome the acceptance of the disorder, finding a vein is, for me, it's normal. It's like brushing my teeth at this point. It's not normal at all. You ask any adult or teenager, when you miss a vein, it's frustrating because you only have so many veins in your body. But for the kids, there's ports. So they have ports placed, so everything has to be sterile. You often see kids with masks and their parents wearing masks, and they have to access the port. So it can be traumatizing in many ways, but overall it becomes what we want to provide is education, support, and advocacy that this condition that has no cure really, becomes normalized. But I look at when the New England Hemophilia Association formed in 1957, the life expectancy was 27 years old. We're now at 2018, the life expectancy is normal. So if I was born at that time, I wouldn't be alive. So I look at how far advancement has come, and it's pretty incredible to think about where we're going. I mean, gene therapy may be something real for our community or other genetic disorders that in our lifetime, we could see, treatment that could put us potentially into that cure category. So really exciting time to live with a chronic condition.
And a great way to support the camp and the efforts, which I want to get into, but I just want to talk a little bit more about camp life.
Sure, yeah.
As you said, teaching kids over the age of 4 how to find the vein. But what else is the rest of the day? What does camp look like for kids and families who go?
So it's up in New Hampshire. So picture your favorite camp experience as a kid. There's mountains, there's a lake, there's a waterfront. The kids go through rotations. There's a wood shop, there's arts and crafts. There is an infusion station, there is swimming at the lakefront and all that stuff. But at the same time, if you can picture 300 people going through these rotations at different ages, you have the parents in support groups and the nurses and doctors supporting each other. And there's a campfire and the families are in their own cabins. So I look at the heartbeat of what we do as a nonprofit, it's that camp. And it's hard to explain, but anyone that went to summer camp, I think, knows that feeling of, it's quintessential New England weather, and it's being together with each other in a place that fosters education and support.
And so you talk, again, this is such a great conversation for awareness for folks before we get into the even bigger fundraising aspect of it. Taking that IV, does that provide that sort of safety net, or are there other concerns to think about when you have hemophilia?
Sure. So I'll explain a little bit about what the IV infusion is. If you do not have hemophilia, your normal factor VIII levels are between 50 and 150%. So factor VIII is one of 13, I'm going to call them dominoes inside of the liver. If we went up to the table right here and hit our elbow, it will say ow, and then more than likely we'll bruise. It means the clotting cascade is activated in the body. Someone with hemophilia A is missing their 8th domino. Okay. So 1 through 7 falls. If there's no 8th one there, that means you keep bleeding faster. There's other types of hemophilia. Hemophilia B is factor IX deficiency. So what this is doing is it's a factor replacement therapy. Is you're taking either a plasma derived, so people donating plasma and injecting it into your vein, or it's made in a lab and it's synthetic. But the problem with it is the half-life for many of these clotting factors are only 8 to 12 hours.
Okay.
That's why you have to keep continuing to give it. So we have breakthroughs of longer lasting where it can last 18 to 24, but we're getting there. But for the most part, that's why I take daily infusions. Depending on the severity, some patients could take more, some patients can take less. But that's the problem with it, is that the half-life, because it's IV, is it doesn't last very long in the system, but it prevents. I could run, I could bike, I went skydiving. I could do these things that you couldn't do beforehand. But you need to think ahead, and you need to make sure that you're talking to your physician, talking to your community, and making sure you're being proactive.
And so let's talk a little bit now about the Bloody Mary competition. When was this? When was the brainchild of saying this is going to be the inaugural Providence's best Bloody Mary competition?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I hope you get the humor there. Bloody Mary, blood. I see it as a perfect combination of a great fundraiser. So because we're a small community, and when really we look at cancer and diabetes, all important causes, is hemophilia is not talked about that often. Bleeding disorders, unless you know someone, you maybe heard of Ryan White. The young adult that died in the 1980s due to, contracting HIV and AIDS and hepatitis C from bad treatment. But really, it's an idea of how to raise awareness to the general public while still having a great time. So I have to give credit. In Wisconsin and Nebraska, they pilot these types of programs. And we said here in New England, with the Hemophilia Alliance of Maine, we said, let's do it here. So on the same day, we're doing one up in Maine and one here in Providence.
Well, I hope you're not shuttling in between places.
No.
Balancing Bloody Marys.
It's up in Bangor, so unless there's a helicopter taking people back and forth, I don't think they're going to get back and forth.
Unless there's direct flight. So let me go through here a little bit about the nuts and the bolts. This is at May 20th, right across the street here at the arcade. We can see it right through the window. I want to talk a little bit. You've got the Black Sheep, the Grange, New Harvest, Rogue Island, Troop, the Salted Slate, and Wara Wara. You said people were like banging down your door to take part in this competition.
Yeah. So, one thing that I love about Providence is we are developing a city that is proud of the local businesses, proud of the restaurants that we have. And it's so awesome for the inaugural of anything. It can be difficult to get kind of a buy-in of the event, but these restaurants and the owners have been so excited, and we're working on a couple of more to come. And many of them are donating items to be auctioned off there as well. But what I love is it's connecting something people love. I mean, for those that don't like Bloody Marys, I'm sorry, we will not be offering mimosas. But Yacht Club Soda will be donating soda for everyone as well, and there'll be some other treats too. But what I love, it's taking the web of Providence and at the heart of who we are as a city, and saying, let's do something fun for a great cause.
And you've got food fights involved as well.
Oh my gosh, Jim's been great. Food Fights is partnering with us for this great event. Jim and his team do such a great job with just competition in Providence in general. And this is, another idea in a fun and friendly way of taking a different concept and combining it together.
So let me go through a little bit more than nuts and bolts. Tickets are $25, include tokens to taste 3-ounce pours. Voting tokens will also be included. And as you said, there's more. It's auctions and other items and food and fun.
And we actually are working with the local businesses. So many of the local businesses are offering discounts. So what we want to do is, if you don't live in Providence and say, hey, I haven't been to the arcade in 20 years, come on down, check the arcade out. The stores will be open in there. Many of them are going to be offering discounts as well. Down Westminster Street, we are going to be working with those shops as well. So it's not just you leave the arcade, it's that your bracelet will give you deals in other places of the city. We're hoping for great weather, but we want a continuation of that as well. As I mentioned, Yacht Club is going to be donating soda. Some food is going to be given as well. And I think it's hopefully going to be a great day of not just celebrating awareness or raising awareness about hemophilia, but celebrating Providence as well too.
I can see a little bit of that Downtown Neighborhood Association hat on that Rich wears as well, bringing in the entire community to this important question. What makes a good Bloody Mary in your book?
Oh, that's a great question there. So for me, it needs to be a little spicy.
Okay.
A pickle, definitely some celery, and maybe add a shrimp on there, right? And so we'll be given 2 awards.
Okay.
First award would be Best Taste. So when you check in, you'll be getting tokens. And Tito's, I have to give them a shout out. They're
the vodka.
Yeah, they are giving us all the vodka. The arcade is donating the space. Tito's is giving us the vodka. Many restaurants, as I said, are donating other things. But when you check in, you'll get tokens. And then you taste, and you can have a couple of extra samples if you really like that taste. And then there'll be a table in one area of the arcade. We're still working out the details of the layout. But then you will vote on which taste you like the best, but you'll also vote on the best garnish. So we're preparing for these bars and restaurants the marketing rights that then the bars and restaurants can claim they have the best 2018 Bloody Mary in the city of Providence and best 2018 garnish. I have to say the trophies are awesome. They look like a Bloody Mary. They're red. They have celery coming out of them. They're a cool trophy.
I'm expecting, you see the pictures like the hamburger, the slice of pizza, the lobster tail.
Yeah. Unfortunately, a 3-ounce, maybe a little too small to put that on it. But I am expecting some of the bars, like Rogue Island already said, that they're thinking outside the box to see what their garnish can look like. But I just think it's fun, and it already is raising awareness. We are capping the event at 300.
Oh, okay.
Just-
So do you need to get tickets ahead of time?
Yeah. So we are asking everyone to buy tickets ahead of time, just so we know, because because of the space in the arcade, and we're so thankful to the folks at the arcade for donating the space. But what we want to do is create an event that is enjoyable and you're not overcrowded.
True.
And it is 11 to 2.
Okay.
So after the 300, we are going to kind of wait and see what the space is. So keep checking our Facebook page, our website, and we're going to keep updated there.
And the best one is at New England Hemophilia Association?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can find us on Facebook at New England Hemophilia, or our website is www.newenglandhemophilia.org.
Well, before you leave, I think I'm buying my ticket.
Please come. It's going to be a great day.
I've been known to like a good Bloody Ear.
Yeah. And this gives you an opportunity to try some of these restaurants that you maybe have. Who knows? Maybe Salted Slate, maybe your best Bloody Mary, Rogue Island, Black Sheep, you never know.
You get to try them all, and as you said, it's a key portion of the day, 11 to 2, but enables you to go out and the rest of the arcade, the rest of downtown, and again, this is all raising support, and this is for the camp, for the kids.
For the camp and for the kids, and we hope this becomes an annual event.
Okay, well, Rich Pezzillo, I appreciate your taking the time to come here and tell folks all about the event, Providence's Best Bloody Mary competition. On May 20th, we'll provide more information and more links when you check back in on GoLocalProv.com.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Kate, for having me.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with our next guest here in the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center.